Welcome to Librarian Recommends. Hi, my name is Trish and I am one of the librarians at Barbican Library, and I'm going to bring you some suggestions of books to read or listen to via a Librarian Recommends session fortnightly on a Thursday. You can now come into the library to borrow books, but you can also download ebooks and audiobooks using our free RBdigital app. If you need help using the app, please take a look at our user guide video, which you can find in the video section on the left of this Facebook page, or go to our YouTube channel using the link above. Today I'm going to link into our October Autumn Reads programme of events, which is based around crime and conflict. This is a really popular genre for our customers, and also one of the subject areas in the BBC 100 Novels That Shaped Our World list. Firstly, I'm going to mention some ebook titles you might be interested in trying. My first suggestion is TheReluctant Fundamentalist by Mohsin Hamed. On the streets of Lahore, Shangez, a bearded Pakistani man, approaches an American visitor and offers to show him to a cafe where he can get a good cup of tea. The strangers sit together at a table and Shangez begins to tell the uneasy foreigner about his life, particularly the time he spent living in the United States. After graduating top of his class from Princeton, the young man lands a position as an analyst for an elite consultancy company. With a lucrative job and a blossoming relationship with Erica, a beautiful, aspiring writer, it appears that Shangez is living the American dream. Then the 9/11 terrorist attacks happen, and life for Shangez changes completely. This is a wonderfully written, powerful tale of infatuation, disillusionment, identity, far-reaching consequences, and the unforeseen connections between the political and the personal. Next up is Regeneration by Pat Barker. This historical fiction novel is set in 1917 in Edinburgh's Craig Lockhart War Hospital and features real people and actual events. The protagonist is William Rivers, an army psychiatrist whose job is to evaluate and treat British soldiers who are suffering shell shock. Siegfried Sassoon, decorated for bravery on the Western Front, is sent to the hospital after refusing to return to duty and writing an open letter to his commanding officer entitled "Finished with the War, a Soldier's Declaration." Dr. Rivers' other patients include the poet Wilfred Owen, Billy Pryor, a second lieutenant who is suffering from memory loss and mutism, and Ralph Anderson, an army surgeon now suffering from hallucinations and a debilitating fear of blood. Dr. Rivers is tasked with fixing these men and making them fit enough to return to duty. He is appalled by their suffering and has to treat them in the knowledge that curing them will mean sending them back out into the horror of the trenches. Through the patients' stories, we learn about the atrocities of the Great War and the huge psychological toll it took on those fighting in it. This is a deeply moving and thought-provoking novel. How about The Hanging by Soren and Lottie Hammer? This is a Scandi noir novel set in Denmark. One morning before classes, two children discover the naked and mutilated bodies of 5 men hanging from the ceiling in their school gym. Detective Chief Superintendent Conrad Simonson and his murder squad from Copenhagen are called in to investigate the killings. The victims all had a dark and terrible secret in common, and when their identities and the link between them is leaked to the press, the motivation for their murders is obvious. On learning the truth, most people believe the men got what they deserved, and DCS Simonson finds himself at odds with the public and with the members of his own team as he works to find those responsible. This intricately plotted crime thriller explores the consequences of lax laws as well as wrestling with moral dilemmas, justice and retribution. My final ebook suggestion is Ice Candy Man by Bapsi Sidwar. This book is concerned with the events surrounding the partition of India in 1947, as seen through the eyes of a young Parsi girl. Lenny has polio and lives in Lahore. Kept back from school due to her illness, she is an inquisitive, happy-go-lucky child who loves spending her days in the park with her Aya, the beautiful Shanta, an 18-year-old Hindu, her admirers, and various local characters. However, her idyllic world is turned upside down when sectarian violence and rioting takes hold in the city, and its once amicable citizens turn brutally against each other. Amid the mayhem, Lenny's beloved Aha is kidnapped. Life will never be the same for Lenny as she observes the turmoil and bloody trauma as her community and country breaks apart. A powerful and moving story from an innocent's perspective. This book will engage and educate as well as entertain the reader. And now onto some audiobooks. Listening to books is immersive and really involves you in the stories that you are listening to. First up is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. First published in 1938, this classic novel is a gripping Gothic tale featuring twists and turns aplenty. Its narrator is an unnamed, naive young woman who, while living as a companion to a wealthy American on holiday in Monte Carlo, meets 42-year-old widower Maxim de Winter. Swept off her feet by this rich and handsome Englishman. After just a fortnight of courtship, the woman agrees to marry him, and the couple begin their new life together at Manderley, Maxim's country estate. Here the narrator finds herself living in the shadow of Maxim's deceased first wife, Rebecca. Mrs. Danvers, the forbidding and malicious housekeeper, is determined to keep her former mistress's memory very much alive, and takes every opportunity to undermine the narrator and convince her that she will never live up to the beautiful, charming and seemingly perfect Rebecca. Living in this house full of ill will, dark secrets and phantoms threatens not only the narrator's marriage, but also her mental health and even her life. This is a truly captivating listen, full of drama, suspense, mystery and unforgettable characters. My next suggestion is The Yard by Alex Grecian. London, 1889. And a year after the reign of Jack the Ripper, Scotland Yard has the murder squad. A dozen detectives tasked with investigating the capital's murders and restoring the public's faith in the police after their failure to catch the Ripper. When one of the detectives is found murdered, his body stuffed in a steamer trunk with his lips and eyes sewn shut, the newest recruit to the squad, Walter Day, is assigned to the case. Meanwhile, a series of bearded men are found savagely murdered, their faces inexplicably neatly shaven. Are the crimes related? It seems there is a new monster in town. With the help of pioneering forensic scientist Dr. Bernard Kingsley, Detective Inspector Day must work fast to protect the city's citizens and track down the killer before he can claim more victims. This Victorian whodunit is an entertaining and compelling listen. How about Captured by Neil Cross? The story begins with Kenny Drummond, a young artist, receiving the heartbreaking news that he has an inoperable brain tumour and only weeks to live. He decides to spend the little time he has left contacting people from his past to whom he feels he needs to apologise or make amends. One such person is Callie Barton, a classmate who was very kind to him in school when others were not. Kenny feels he didn't show her enough gratitude for her friendship and wants to thank her in person. However, Kenny is shocked to discover that Callie has vanished and has been missing for a few years. Initially a prime suspect, her husband Jonathan was cleared by the police of any involvement in her disappearance. Kenny is determined to discover the truth about what happened to his friend. He feels Jonathan, who has moved on with his life and has a new partner, is hiding something. With nothing to lose and time running out, Kenny is prepared to do whatever it takes to uncover the truth. This is a dark, fast-paced psychological thriller from the creator of DCI Luther. My final audiobook suggestion is Bitter Wash Road by Gary Disher. Constable Paul Hirsch is a recently demoted cop, banished from Adelaide after blowing the whistle on a case of police corruption, and sent to the tiny and remote backwater town of Tiverton. Despised by his fellow officers for his betrayal, the repercussions of his actions see him not only shunned by colleagues, but marked as a suspect himself in the ongoing corruption investigations. Far from being somewhere to escape his woes, Hirsch finds trouble in Tiverton, with a boss who has absolutely no intention of making his life easy, and thuggish, ignorant local constables who abuse their power and cannot be trusted. Hirsch's suspicions over the death of a local young girl in an apparent hit-and-run accident, and later the apparent suicide of a middle-aged woman, lead him to make some shocking discoveries which threaten not only his future in the police, but his life. This gritty and tense Australian noir novel will keep you enthralled from start to finish. I do hope you enjoy these ideas for your next read. Maybe it's not a genre you've dipped into before. Why not give something different a go? You might be surprised. And don't forget, if these titles I have suggested are unavailable when you look, you can search by genre and availability or browse in the RBdigital app. Do use the comments section below to add your own suggestions of crime and conflict books you think our customers might enjoy. And if we don't already have them available in our RBdigital collection, we will see if we can add them. Before I go, I would like to thank my colleague Lynn for her invaluable help putting these recommendations together. Stay safe and well, and see you soon. Bye.